well, I just missed golden hour. Got my kids to bed a little bit later than I was anticipating, but that's okay. We had a fun day at the pool, enjoyed our Friday evening, and I hope the same for all of you guys. I also hope that you had a chance to check out our Schotty the Hypocrite video that we just posted, featuring Jesse Holly, who did a really nice job, in my opinion, of pressing the subject directly with regards to, is Schotty a hypocrite? Is there a disconnect between what we've been reading about, hearing him say, hoping for, versus what we saw in preseason week number 1? Underlying sentiment. Preseason week number 1, that's only one piece of the puzzle, all right? His response to Jesse Holly's question, which was very fair, in which I respect him asking, confirmed everything that we had talked about in the immediate aftermath of preseason week number 1. Way too early to overreact, okay? But our hunch, it was on point, all right? And so it was good to see that conversation and to hear Schotty confirm some of the things that we had been discussing, okay? So check that out if you're concerned about Joe Milton's pass attempts, 6 straight to start the day, about the starters not practicing, and does Schotty's physicality, this new culture that we're talking about, right? Is he serious about it? I hope that I did a good job of creatively conveying the truth for the true fan. All right, that's always the goal here. Now, let's talk about the receiver position. One, it feels like 4 guys competing for one spot, all right? Will the Cowboys carry 5? Will the Cowboys carry 6? They could do either. But here's what I want to say. I'm not going to necessarily speculate over who I think is going to win that final job. I'll give you my gut, my best guess. But what I ultimately want you, the fan, to understand is, and tell me if I'm wrong here. You guys let me know in the comments, as always. Sunset's beautiful, by the way. Look at that. The guy that wins the last job. So here's my locks. Let's just do it this way. CD, obviously. George Pickens, obviously. Kevontae Turpin, obviously. Now, Turpin's role doesn't change, regardless of who's healthy. And regardless of, let's just say that, who's healthy, okay? His role within this offense and with this system, I believe, is going to stay the same. Okay, so who's after those 3? You've got Jalen Tolbert, who I believe is a lock. I think you don't hear his name nearly as much because when he's out there with the first team, when the offense is 11 personnel, meaning he's the 3rd receiver on the field alongside CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, a newly extended Jake Ferguson, Jalen Tolbert's your 4th most prolific pass catcher in that 11 personnel set, with 1 tight end on the field and with 3 receivers alongside CD and George. Jalen Tolbert's your 4th most prolific pass catcher. All right, you're not going to hear his name all that often, but is he interchangeable? Can he do all the dirty work? That's what I really want fans to understand. If you hear nothing else, hear this. My gut, I think we're evaluating this receiver room wrong if we don't preface who is going to earn that last spot. So you've got Jonathan Mingo, traded a 4th round pick for his services last year, okay? Who fills that final spot? And to me, it's the guy that not just embodies physicality the most, but also the guy who is the most significant contributor on special teams. So let's assume Jalen Tolbert is a lock. Just because we haven't heard his name, haven't seen as much of an impact from him, he hasn't made all the splash plays, that's because he's not really running with the twos most of the time. All right, but the thing is that the Cowboys are going to be in I don't think this car sees me. I need to turn on my flashlight here. The Cowboys are going to spend a lot of time in 12, 13 personnel, 21 even in some instances. If you consider Kevontae Turpin and Jaden Blue in the backfield at the same time to be two running backs, which it is what it is. It's a personnel formation, much less specific a body type or a position specific role. But like, let's just say that when those two guys are in the backfield at the same time, that's a two-back set, all right? Because Kevontae Turpin, when you put him in the backfield, you hand him the football, he's much more effective anyway. Not the most nuanced receiver or route runner. You guys get the picture, all right? But so the point being, the underlying sentiment, what I want fans to understand the most, in my opinion, and just so things to look for tomorrow as we anticipate, watch, break down, and react to this Cowboys and Ravens preseason week number 2. You're going to see more starters on the field. But what you have to know is that the guy who is going to round out the receiver room, whether that be receiver 5 or receiver 6, you've got Jonathan Mingo, Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Moreno-Cropper, Jalen Brooks, Ryan Flournoy, and of course, Trayshawn Holden. Trayshawn Holden, direct connections to the new receiver coach, who was Oregon's, Junior Adams, by the way, Oregon's co-offensive coordinator last year. So there's a connection. There's a reason why Trayshawn Holden is with this Cowboys roster. That's because Junior Adams fought for this guy, all right? He does a lot of those receiver things, in my opinion, better than the likes of Jalen Tolbert, better than the likes of Kevontae Turpin. In some cases, I believe better than the likes of Jonathan Mingo. But Jonathan Mingo does some of the dirty work a little bit better than just about everybody, not including CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. So this separation, it's not so much, don't consider this position battle to be, okay, who is the most versatile route runner, the best separator, best hands, the best pass catcher? No, I think we need to think about this position as who offers the most on special teams. In my opinion, and I heard Nick Harris say this yesterday, so I would trust his gut instinct on Jalen Brooks having the head up in that regard, specifically over everybody else with the special teams stuff. Routinely running with the first unit. It's important, right? Because the 5th wide receiver is not going to be asked to catch a lot of passes, to be a difference maker as a wide receiver, as a weapon on the offense. It's more so, okay, because once again, the 5th wide receiver might see the 7th or 8th most targets. Brevin Spanford, he's going to be on the field. He's going to catch the football. Jake Ferguson, he's going to be on the field. He's going to catch the football. All right? Rivaldo Fairweather, he might overtake he might usurp Luke Schoonmaker. We're not sure. But the 5th wide receiver is not going to be depended upon to catch the football. The 5th wide receiver on this roster, the 6th wide receiver on this roster, is going to be dependent upon to be a gunner on special teams, to contribute on kickoff coverage, to block and do all the nasty, all the dirty work in the running game. And this revamped rushing attack led by not just Schotty, but alongside Clayton Adams, the offensive coordinator now, whose track record speaks for itself, and also Connor Riley, who is technically the offensive line coach, but also whose track record speaks for itself. That's going to be the guy that wins this job. So Ryan Flournoy, Jalen Brooks, Jalen Tolbert, Trayshawn Holden. I feel like Jalen Moreno Cropper. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. And if I am, just assume that I named him, because they're all lumped into the same exact discussion here. Let's go back this way so we can see a little bit more light on my face, just in case any of you are actually watching this and not just specifically listening to it. The guy that wins the job is not necessarily the guy that makes the most one-handed catches, that takes the top off the defense the best, that, contributes the most targets, receptions, or yards in preseason, has the most viral videos from training camp from guys like John Machota, Nick Harris, and Patrick Nosey Walker, and everybody else that have been on site and that will continue to, be behind the scenes almost, to the point of where they are on the field with this different level of access than the little guys like me, right?